So like I said in the program, everyone wants to do voiceovers for animation, and so I thought you might want to hear what some veterans and some newcomers have to say about the business, because I'm sure the old-comers like me and Rob and Jeannie and Phil, I'll introduce to you, can agree that things have changed a lot in the past 30, 20 years, and it's different. So I'm sure a lot of you are interested in what that's all about. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my peeps, who I'm so excited about. I'll start with Phil Lawler on my left here. Usually I don't say anything that Phil hasn't written. So I usually, he is a writer, director, and actor. He's a casting director. He created Adventures in Odyssey, if anybody's familiar with that show, and it's been on the air for 25 years, but he's also been acting and directing lately in the Mr. Men show, and I'll let him say what else. But I wanted him on the panel because he knows a lot of stuff from a different side of the business than what I know. Plus, he's a professor at Cal State LA teaching video production and screenwriting. That's pretty awesome. And then sitting next to him is his female counterpart, who is also an actress, a writer, a director, a casting director. I've known all you guys since I was 2. We were all 2, and she is a voice coach and teacher. See her afterwards if you're looking for some fabulous voice coaching. Jeannie Elias. And sitting next to her is my best friend I met 2 minutes ago. His name
is way back.
Mick Winger, and I'm so happy to have him on the panel because he's a new guy that I don't know, and there's a lot of new guys I don't know, but what's really neat that he brings to the panel is not only, I've done some research, yes, I know he's very talented, and he has a really good story about how he got into voiceover, and also, well, I'll tell you when I ask him a question in a minute why I have him on the panel. So Mick Winger, everybody.
Hi, everybody. He's terribly mysterious.
No, it's all fun. It's all fun. And next to him is Miss Lisa Biggs. I admire this woman so much. If anybody wants to know how to become famous in like 5 minutes, talk to Lisa Biggs. She's new. She just moved to LA 3 weeks ago. She's already hosted a bowling party, delivered cupcakes. She's moved twice, driven cross country, and she's just absolutely amazing. She's started about 3 websites since she's been here, and she got here on time. So I'm really happy to have her. And she's worked on both coasts, which is why I have her here. She just moved here from North Carolina, and she's been working that coast, and now she's here to, you know, wreak havoc over here in the West Coast. So, Lisa Biggs. And of course, next to her, a man who needs no Comic-Con introduction, why do I have Rob Paulsen on my panel?
We're all here to see Rob. It's true.
It's because he said yes! Now you know what, I have to tell you, he played my first radio boyfriend, I believe.
Yeah, what was that?
On a commercial, some radio commercial that we did.
Oh, that was that one that aired during the Last Supper.
Yeah. and I never knew Redondo Beach existed until Rob mentioned it, and which is, yeah, it got me my new home. But he's so amazing, and I'm just a huge fan, and Pinky and the Brain is my favorite TV show, so I'm really happy to have him. But not least is a fellow who I got to bowl with just a couple nights ago. He's also an amazing force when it comes to new media, things that are happening, marketing. No, I think, you know, he knows these things that you might have questions about. What's it like nowadays and how to get out there and do stuff. And he's very, very talented. I'm going to show you some clips. Mr. Ben Bledsoe. Whew. I have a very large panel, which is good because we have a very large room. When I started in voiceover, 1981, when I graduated college and I came to LA, I think there were about 200 people doing voiceovers. As you can imagine, I think that number has grown to about 200 million people doing voiceovers. It's completely different. I don't know if it would happen now. I was in town visiting, and the casting person at Hanna-Barbera invited me to watch a session. I got to watch Mel Blanc and everybody record the Flintstones, and it was awesome. And I was so nervous, and Lucy Taylor, who played Pebble, said, "Come on down, there's lots of work for everybody." Well, I'm not sure that's exactly the case anymore, but I know that there's work out there for the people who are supposed to have it are going to get it, and I truly believe that with all my heart. There's questions, auditioning, training, how is the union involved in voiceover work? Lots of stuff. How important is networking, which is why I have Lisa here. So I'm hoping to get questions from you, all of you, but in the meantime, we have a few video clips that I want to show just to prove that we really, truly are voiceover people. And a lot of people, if you can talk to yourself in lots of different voices, then you might have a career in voiceover. So our first clip I wanted to show is Ben, sent all the way from Ben Bledsoe in Hollywood, California. This clip of a commercial he did for Burger King. It's animated, and he is actually all the voices you hear. It's fabulous. So as soon as it does its... See, people who do voiceover think everything makes noise, even if it doesn't. What sounds do you hear for that thing? All right. Okay, Ben, why don't you tell us something about this?
Best work I've ever done.
No, tell me the story you told me, because this is great.
Oh, it was, well, I submitted from, through my agent, but I recorded it at home, and they sent me a couple different breakdowns, and so I sent in individual ones.
Wait, tell the people what a breakdown is.
Oh, just like an audition, so it's the sides, or the breakdown is what you would read for that character.
Can I just say, when you're young, a breakdown is what he's describing. When you're my age, it's completely different.
And so I sent in 2 different characters for this commercial, and they called to book me for one, and then they called to book me for another. So it was really cool. And then I ended up doing the announcer read too.
And you recorded at home?
No, I did the audition at home, but then I went into the studio and did it with that. Yeah.
And you got 3 different paychecks, right?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
It was a good day.
About that?
All right. So is it happening?
No.
Okay. Okay, the next clip we want you to see.
Thank you, good night. Ben Bledsoe, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, let me, how about, will mine show? This is a clip from...
We're gonna find out.
Did you remember
There we go.
282
Is that Genie?
Yes, you have.
Okay. Hold on. We're gonna start again.
All right. Well, I also picked this clip, even though it's me, just because I also did 3 different characters. All the voices you hear are me in this, and I just tickles me because most people don't think that that's possible, but it is, and it's fun. So,
I promise it's gonna work.
press the go button, Phil.
All right.
You broke it.
There it is.
Oh, I have no idea Boys in America were so cute. You, what a sweet mess you have. I do? Come, Rishi, show me around, oui. Well, okay. Oui, I guess. I must be the luckiest girl in all of America. You see that? Richie's letting her home Okay, well that was Do you think Ben's will work, or should we go to...
Hold on, we'll try it.
Okay, one more time.
One more time for Ben.
Where's Vinny?
While it's doing that, where's Vinny?
Yeah, does he have
Vinny.
the little...
Do you have the stick? No, I have it. I think it's in my purse. Okay. Well, while he's doing that, I want you, okay, so a lot of people come to me and they'll say, I know a really good Sylvester Stallone. You think I should go into voiceover? And I say, probably not. Because a lot of people do a good Sylvester Stallone or a good this or a good that, you know, but a voiceover actor needs to have a pretty wide range, you know, a good, here, thank you, arsenal of voices. Now, that being said, every once in a while, even though you have a fantastic arsenal, and if you guys knew what was in my purse.
We like to be prepared on these things.
Yeah, well, you know, we're prepared as we could be. Oh, here it is. Mr. Flash Drive. Voiceover rule number 1 for 2011, never go anywhere without your flash drive. Okay. Yeah, and that's a new thing. Who knew? We didn't even have computers, I think, when we started. So, what I'm saying is, even though you might do something really well, you have to be able to do all kinds of stuff. And Mr. Mick Winger, tell us the story about how you got this job, and then we're going to show a clip, and I'm going to swoon.
I don't know that I'm not well. Should I just give it away and who I am as in terms of what I do for what? Most of you
lead up to it. Tell us a little.
Well, you know, you get to Hollywood to come and do animation, and really there's only a few markets that you can do animation in the world, as it were. And in the U.S. there's 2, maybe 3, New York, L.A., and if you count anime, Dallas. So if you want to do animation, you're best off coming to LA. That's where most of the animation that you and I see on the air that isn't imported is produced and recorded and that kind of thing. So I got to town, and this is a tough town, I'm telling you. You can do a lot of things before you hit the actual career you're looking for. So,
and please feel free, each of my panelists, to throw in how you ended up doing voiceovers, just like Mick's doing, because that's why everybody's here, right? You want to know how it happened. Okay.
Well, I got my start basically doing commercial stuff in my local hometown, which is Central California. I built my little empire up there and thought, I'm going to come down to Los Angeles and make my way. You know, I'm not going to have to pay any dues. I've been doing commercials now for 3 years. It's fantastic. And I got down here and promptly spent a good 4 years doing everything but voiceover. And
what year was this?
This was 2006. Okay. 2006. And then, you know, on my second agency, I was the second talent agency, the one that I'm currently with, and things were starting to look up, and a friend of mine was auditioning to do the Kung Fu Panda video game. He's a voice actor that does a lot of voice match, and a casting director asked him to come in and read because they needed a last minute Poe, because the guy who had been doing stuff for the first film, all the scratch tracking and the voice matching and stuff, which is where you do someone else's voice. That's what voice matching is, where somebody else has already performed, and then you're going in and picking up the stuff that they're unable to do.
Wait, stop there.
Yep.
Now, why didn't Poe do his own voice?
Well, that's a great question. You know, I think a lot of times when the celebrities are hired to do feature film, that's a very specific contract, and then it becomes additional money for them, as well as additional time commitments. And as you well know, Jack Black did Poe in the first and second feature, and that was really at the height of his notoriety, and so I'm sure it was a time and money thing, and it happens all the time. To try to get celebrities to do commercials or video games or some of the toys or some of the other related properties to their feature film, they just don't have the time and availability to do it. So my friend was in on this audition to cover for this other voice actor who'd been doing Jack Black, and basically said, you know, I do a lot of voice matching, but I don't really do Jack Black. But you know who does is Mick Winger. You need to call his agent, and I didn't do a Jack Black.
Now that wasn't Richard Corbett.
No. It was James Arnold Taylor, who's a fantastic voice talent, and is a real mensch of a guy for throwing a bone to a struggling voice actor. And I think it's because he thinks I sound like Jack naturally. Well, I got a call from my agent saying that they had gotten a call, and I was on to audition for DreamWorks Monday morning. So I spent the whole weekend doing nothing but watching Jack Black films and working on this impression. And I drove my roommates crazy. At one point I was out in my car with like a sound-alike, just listening on my playback recorder and trying to ape the sounds, going, I'm not getting it, I'm not getting it. But I got it, at least to some degree, and did the worst Jack Black impression I've ever done in my life.
Probably not.
And booked a spot. It sounded more like Eric Cartman than it did Jack Black, but it was good enough. Hey guys. So it was good enough for them, and they used me in the first video game, and then from there went into auditions for the animated series when it came around, and I booked the role of Po on Kung Fu Panda animated series. I also did a lot of commercials and some scratch things.
And it sounds a little like
Master Shifu, what are we gonna do? I'm totally out of dumplings. Oh no!
It's not happening, I'm sorry.
Oh,
but
well,
you have the live guy right here.
Yeah, because you sang.
It did. I sang the theme titles.
Can you sing out something else like Rob?
I don't know, Rob.
Peter Hastings wrote that song.
Yes, he did. your good friend and mine.
That's right.
Yes, it goes a little something like this. Hear the legends of the Kung Fu Panda. Raised in a noodle shop, never seeking glory or fame. He climbed the mountaintop and earned the Dragon Warrior name. Ooh, ah, ah, Kung Fu Panda. Doo, 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 boom, boom, boom. Master Shifu saw the warrior blossom and master the skills of bodacious and awesome. Kung Fu Panda. Boom, 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 boom. He lives and he trains and he fights with the furious five. Protect the valley, something, 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 something alive. Panda, legends of awesomeness. Sweet. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
Have you noticed what you were doing to this poor man down here?
I know, he's like,
I mean, he was Kung Fu Panda during that song.
how do you sign the drum beats? They actually wanted me to...
Eat your heart out.
Oh, come on.
No,
Come on.
that's all I need.
Oh, thanks.
Really good.
Thank you, guys. So that's my story. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Is it so? I mean, it truly is awesome to work with people like. So, let's take a musical segue down to the end of the table to Ben. Ben, you started out as a singer, and would you tell us a little bit about how you got into voiceover and a little bit of your history?
Yeah, I guess in theory, I sort of was an actor first when I was a kid, but then I sort of accidentally got into music, and I toured for about 8 years. And
With what band?
in a band called Natural, and it was sort of this like rock pop band that we did a lot of touring. I don't know where I lived for about those 8 years. But so for me, I was always in the booth and always on the mic, and when I was a kid acting, I always wanted to do voiceover, and everybody's like, it's impossible. You have to know somebody, you have to whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then when I sort of stopped doing music and wanted to get strictly back into, I had done some voiceovers for commercials, like we had a Burger King like sponsorship one year, and we had a McDonald's sponsorship the other. It's the only way you can get away with like non-compete things, I guess, if you're, I don't know. But so I got to do it, and I was like, I got the bug, even though those were commercial, and I think I've always wanted to do mostly animation. I was like, I have to do this. And so as soon as I landed back in LA, I luckily had all the gear. I had all the mics in the booth and everything anyway. And I just was like, people were still saying it's impossible. And I was like, well, screw you. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna find a way to make it happen. And so I just got really creative, and I think I screwed up a lot of different ways, and some of them stuck, some of them didn't. And so
What's a way you wouldn't recommend?
Well, I made friends with my friend's voiceover agent to just try and, which is good. It worked out. We ended up working together. But she was like, oh, bring your demo. And I should have probably just said, oh, I don't have a demo. But instead, I just sort of in the hour and a half to 2 hours before our meeting, put together the quickest uneducated demo in the history of voiceover, and went in and she quickly listened and said, okay, that's cute. And so I would recommend actually getting a professional demo done. And I mean, other things, I don't know. I feel like there's plenty of things, but luckily
Okay, what's the one good thing you did?
I feel like I always have always just respected people's time, and like whenever I have a project, because a lot of times now I'll do half or more of my projects from home. They'll just have me record it from home, and then for the other projects, if you have to go into a studio, I obviously will go into a lot of studios too. But so if it's anything from home, I get it back before. Same thing to my agents, I get it back right away. I don't know if they send it off till 3 days later, but they just know they don't have to worry about it. So I send sort of the best quality stuff right away, whatever format you need, whatever, I sort of just try and be extra early. so that the guys that have been doing it forever, maybe are hopefully just later.
Okay, and just quick question, everybody on this panel, who has a home recording studio? Except for Rob. Rob, they pick up in a limousine and drive to the recording studio. That's right. All right, that's okay. We all want to be there. Okay.
Well, I don't have one at home, but I just recently got a great residual check and I bought the Hearst Castle.
Yes! Party at Paulsen's, ladies and gentlemen.
So I'm going to have one up there. Place for my stuff.
Do you think they have room up
You
there?
gonna use that indoor pool?
Maybe one of the fireplaces or something they can
I know. Exactly.
How would Donatello say that?
I'm sorry?
How would Donatello say that?
Donatello, oddly enough, sounds an awful lot like Raphael did 25 years ago. Don't tell the folks at Nick that. He would say, "Cowabunga, how many zeros are there?" No, honestly, I don't actually have a whisper room. I know a lot of people have a viable recording thing, but I just have my laptop and a USB mic, a little Audio-Technica AT2020.
That's what I meant. You record at home, though, right?
Yeah. No, I record auditions at home all the time. I don't have anything at home that is a broadcast quality. Promo guys have, Billy Ratner and Ashton Smith and guys like that. They have their own, legitimate recording facility where they can actually send broadcast quality stuff.
But they don't do animation.
No, they're not. They're primarily, getting up in a bathrobe and getting the copy from wherever in Denver or Missouri and saying, coming up next on Who's Cooking the Soup, and then they shoot it off and they get a check. But I would much prefer to go to the studio.
Yeah, me too.
There's always free food.
That's true. Okay, very good. I was going to ask, when Ben was talking about shooting things back to people quickly, Jeannie, you do casting sometimes, you coach people, you're a voice. I'm sure you give people more advice than just how to act. What would you say about the protocol when you're looking to get into the voiceover business?
Well, there's a lot of different ways now. Used to be you needed to learn how to do it, get a demo together, and go to an agency, and hope like hell somebody heard it and thought you were it, and you had an agent and they would send you out. And now there's, I teach and I have lots of students who haven't reached that level yet, but they're doing things like Voices 123 and Voices.com, and so there's a lot of auditions coming in from, and it can be as a phone message for some company somewhere, and sort of whetting their palates on learning how to do it. And then once, of course, they become union, and then they're sent. Then they will obviously have an agent and be sent out. But I think training and putting together a great demo is really, really important. You have that one shot when you go into an agency, and if it's just not up to caliber, you burned that bridge pretty much. At least for a couple of years till they forget and they don't remember who you were, and you can submit again. But
I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, have your stuff.
That's where I'm at right now.
Have your stuff together, before you start to become a pro. You know what I mean? Just make sure you've got a great demo. Make sure you can do what's on your demo. You have no idea how many times I'll hear someone's demo and go, they're really good. And then they'll come and work with me, and they're not good. They can't do what someone directed them into on the demo. So you've got to be able to be better than even your demo is.
Wow, that's good advice. Well, another thing is that some people say, what kind of training do you need? And I don't know, Rob, did you do improv? Did you used to do
I did. As a matter of fact, I talk about this a lot. I do a podcast every week now, and virtually every,
I forgot to mention it, Talking Tunes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Talking Tunes, and it's available on my website, Rob Paulsen Live, or iTunes. Just Talkin', Talkin', And so, what's really fun is having actors on, and we talk about their backgrounds and what they've done and all that. What they've done, everybody, and I said virtually everybody, but I should say without exception, everybody that I've had on and with whom I've worked. I've been here for 28, almost 30 years now. Everybody that I work with, Billy West and DiMaggio and Tress and Kate, everybody here, Maurice, they all have, D. Baker, all have stand-up, improv, or theater or music background. Every single one of them. I don't work with anybody ever who's just said, like you said initially, my parents told me I do a really great bam bam, and so I'm going to get a gig. Honestly, everybody with whom I've worked has a performance background. They've segued into voice acting, but they've all been on stage, they've all sung, they've all screwed up 100 times, and it just seems to, Maurice and I were on Chris Hardwick's podcast, The Nerdist, last Tuesday, and it'll be out in the future, but it was interesting to see Chris Hardwick, who is really, talk about marketing yourself, the guy's incredible, and I worked with him on Back at the Barnyard, where he did the Kevin James part in the movie, and it was fascinating to see the connection between Chris Hardwick and Maurice Lamarche, because they're both stand-up guys. And Chris was enamored by Maurice, not because of the brain, but because Maurice was one of the stars of the Rodney Dangerfield Young Comedian special in 1983 or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's where Mo got his start too. So virtually and Hardwick's the same way. Hardwick's a young guy that's done stand-up and improv, and so I would always recommend, I tell young actors, my friend Bryan Stevenson is here, and he was on my podcast, and he's really working hard trying to put things together, big theater background. Everybody, I would recommend, it is about the acting. You can make funny noises, that's great, but just like Jeannie said, you got to be able to deliver, and it really is about performing. So
I really encourage people to take improv classes, take acting classes. It doesn't matter if you want to do it, professionally. Just do it. It'll loosen you up. It'll just open you up, and you'll have so much more of yourself available for voiceover, especially animation.
Yeah.
And you have to, like Jeannie said, just because if somebody hands you a piece of copy, you've got to be able to come up with something in a couple minutes or less. It's just that fast in voiceover. Nobody has time for you to go off and prepare whatever.
And the thing is, you don't want to screw up in front of Phil Lawler, because he can fire your ass.
And speaking of Phil Lawler,
That's called a segue, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nicely done, Rob. Very nicely done.
All right.
Nicely done there. Checks in the mail.
Yes, I first started working for you because you hired me. That's how I met you, and then I discovered you're able to do everything.
Well, thank you. I wish more people thought that. More people who had money thought that and would pay me to do everything. I concur with everything that everybody has said here so far, especially the parts about the training and doing stage work and improv and all sorts of things. I know as a director and as a writer, writers are notoriously insecure people, and directors have a lot of bravado behind the glass, on the other side of the glass, but also we are like, we're just looking to make this the best thing that we can possibly be. There are a lot of people out there who have egos, but they're also just trying to make the best product possible. So it's really, really important for actors as part of the creative process to be able to, as Katie said, take that copy, make it work, do something with it. I mean, I can tell you from my standpoint as a writer, if you got a funnier line, you got a better way to say that line, I'm all for it. Let's make it as funny or as good, as great as we possibly can. That's what we want to do. And when you got, geniuses like the people who are sitting up here doing that sort of thing, people who really understand how to make a line work really, really well or make it better, wow, you just can't go wrong with that. So it's really vital if you want to be in voiceover to take that, take those courses, do the improv, because Rob's absolutely right. It's the acting that makes it happen. We can all do funny voices. I'm sure everybody in this room has a voice that they would like to be able to, hey, I can take that and I can make that work. But we're also really from a directing standpoint and a casting standpoint, I would be looking for people who can do more with it than just the funny voice. I want to know that also in this script that I've written or this script that somebody else has written, there may be a touching moment. There may be a moment where you have to cry. There may be a moment where you have to do all this, and I'll do that all in your character. So I need to know that you're versatile enough to do this, okay? There's one more thing about casting I just wanted to say about that too, really quickly. Get into groups, take classes, and network as much as possible. The way most people get hired, I know that a lot of people go through agents, but the way a lot of it happens for me is I know somebody who knows somebody. And I knew this person because they knew this person. And this person said, oh, you gotta listen to this person. Katie does that all the time. I mean, she comes in and says, wow, I just heard this great person. You gotta hear this person. And it works that way.
Katie gave me my last job.
Yeah.
She did.
That kind of
She suggested
networking,
me and
actors to actors networking, and people networking, all this stuff, that happens a lot. And you got to get with those people. Because the other side is, for me as a producer and a director, I want to go with people that I know are going to be able to do the job. Because time is money. People are spending money in that studio. People are spending money on those actors. And if I bring somebody in who I really don't know if they can do the job and they mess up, that's on me. That's on me and my next job, you know, and my relationship with the people who've hired me. So get with those people, learn all, form relationships with those people, and really get into those kinds of improv groups and become the person who is good to know and who knows other people. That's really important, I think.
Lisa, how do you get to know people? Miss Lisa B.
By the way, before she speaks, I have to say this. First of all, isn't she just as cute as a bug?
As a bug.
This little girl is as hot as Georgia asphalt, but let me tell you something. When she starts to talk, this is no pressure. You're almost the same color as your blouse. That's perfect. Just listen, she's so cute. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. My name is Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa. This is my real voice, for those of you who are wondering. Yes, I really talk like this.
Is your mom home?
That's the best thing when you have a voice like us. Can I speak to is your mother home? No.
No.
Right.
Goodbye.
And I guess I've been doing this for a little over 10 years. Started right out of college. My parents, I lived in Charlotte in North Carolina. My mom and dad paid for me to have professional demos made for my college graduation present. And this is 2001, 2002, I forget how old. I'm older than I look, and much older than I sound. And like Nick, I sent them out to some agents, and I got picked up by a really large agency out in LA, and so I moved out here and thought, well, hello, why wouldn't I book, right? No. I just didn't understand really how the business works, because it's a business. You're an actor, and you're all these other things, like you have to market yourself and network yourself, and I just didn't understand those things. So I was out here for close to 5 years, and booked a lot commercially and a couple of animated things here and there. Like I'm kid number 3 on episode 13 of this or that, but nothing, super remarkable. So I ended up moving back east because I had some family stuff happen, and so I went back to grad school. And then decided I hated school. So I took the rest of the money I was going to spend getting my master's, and I invested it back into my voiceover career. And I've been really fortunate through just, I guess, an ability I have supposedly to really network and market myself to. For the last 5 years, I've worked full-time as a voice actor, which is really cool. I'm
pretty darn amazing out there in North Carolina.
Yeah, well, I've traveled back and forth. Don't get me wrong. I've gone back and forth from LA and New York, but a lot of my work I was able to do from home. So I feel really fortunate for that. But it just kind of gave me a good cushion. So when I decided to move back out to LA, I wasn't starting from scratch. I have, I'm a working voice actor. So, but as far as What did you ask me? What, knowing people?
How did you get to know all these people that kept you working full-time all over the place, flying here and there and everywhere?
Well, I mean, fortunately, a lot of decision makers, a lot of buyers, so to speak, casting directors, producers, directors, they are available for a price to spend time with. You can coach with them. You call them up and say, hey, I'm going to be in LA, and I hear you're $300 an hour. That's reasonable. Could I come and hang out with you? And that has worked for me. And also.
So you basically bought your way?
I did.
That works. Hey.
I do.
Great. She also applies them with food.
I do. I bring baked goods everywhere I go. I do, and it works. You wouldn't believe it. Like, people really respond to Sprinkles cupcakes. They really do.
I find that they really respond to the Animaniacs crack pipes, too.
So, yeah, and just through, I hired a manager for a while, and paid a lot of money for that, too. But learned really the business side of voiceovers and was able to take what I learned and then just, I guess, a knack for creativity and a desire to really, I mean, I had Nick talk to you in my blog about a month ago.
Blog, that's like a keyword. Write that down in your notes. Blog.
VoxyLadies.com.
Voxy Ladies.
www.nickwinger.com.
And he said something really profound that really stuck with me, and it's true. He said, you know, if there's anything else you would rather do in the whole wide world, go and do it, because this is so hard. This is not an easy job. I mean, even for somebody that's clearly as amazing as I am, it's so much hard work. But there's nothing else that I'd rather do, so I just kept working hard. And, you know, just kept finding new ways to be creative and to connect with people, and it's worked, you know?
And not to mischaracterize voiceover work, it's a fantastic gig.
It's
so much fun.
Wonderful.
Just making your way in this business is, I mean, I remember 8 years ago or so, I was at Comic-Con as an attendee, and I didn't know anybody and whatnot, and I went to this panel that was being taught by the actress who did the rotoscope for Tinkerbell, and I don't know what she knew about voiceover, but maybe she had gone on to do voiceover, but she gave this panel at Comic-Con about how to become a voiceover actor, and there's so many of us that were in that room that really just wanted to be voice actors, and I felt like nobody was telling us the truth, that it was not difficult insofar as the work was difficult. It's fun, but you have to be well trained, and you have to know what it's like to live in Hollywood. And
the hardest part about the gig is getting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, most of the job is auditioning.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Laura Jill Miller, I was doing something with Laura Jill the other day, and she said basically her job is to audition, and that's probably true. I mean, when you're working, it's a blast. I mean, you're getting money to get paid to do, you know, what used to get you in trouble when you were 11, and you're working with all these world-class actors, and then you get residuals, and like I said, free food. I mean, there's no downside to the gig. But
the gig is great and fun.
Oh yeah, and you know, you get to work with girls like this, you know, and it's just, I mean, it's the coolest gig in the world. It's just the hard part is getting it, and so that's where all the training comes into play, and there's still no guarantees. But you know what? If it really sucks and you're going, man, what does this work? I hate this, and I've been in the same position. Just remind yourself that nobody ever shoved a gun in your mouth to be an actor. Yeah. You know? And it does suck sometimes, but pretty much everything does at one time or another, so you just got to get through it. At least you have you can go to bed at night going, well, I'm at least doing what I really, really want to do.
Absolutely.
I would have to say also that if you really want to do this stuff as well, I mean, we all talk about having home studios or the availability to record ourselves basically at home to do auditions, send stuff out that way, or even just have a little bit better quality microphones and a little bit better quality stuff, and that can actually record stuff at home and produce it.
Yeah.
Do it. Absolutely. Get a microphone, get a computer, start recording yourself, start learning there are all sorts of free programs. Audacity is a wonderful program and it's free. You can download it on your computer and record yourself, listen to how you talk, play it back. You're going to hate it, You're going to hate how you sound. You're absolutely going to despise it. And then you're going to say, okay, well, let me see what else I can do.
Yeah.
What can I do? How can I play with my voice? Learn about microphone theory. Learn about how you should relate to a microphone. How depending on what you're doing, where you should be in proximity. Depending on if you're really going to make it really low, or if you're really going to be back here because you're talking louder and you're screaming, and you got to know those kinds of things, because that's going to be asked of you in the studio when you get in there.
Right.
So,
Those are great.
10,000 hours. Practice, 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 practice.
Also,
And
you're
then
going to
get
somebody to listen.
Yeah, and one more thing, if I can interject, those are absolutely spot on. I mean, you've got so much inexpensive technology that you can play with now. Make your own little things and have them on YouTube and all that. And you also, I forgot what I was going to say, so don't even worry about it. No, I know what it was. I know what it was. When I get somebody that will, by the way, those of you who have contacted me, I thank you so much. It is so, because what we do is so anonymous, it's so flattering now when people take the time to say, hey Rob, I really like this show or that show, or my dog died and it helped me get through it and all that. It really means a lot to us. So thank you so much for paying attention.
Yeah.
That's really, really sweet and very much appreciated. But what happens often is you'll hear somebody like I grew up in just south of Flint, Michigan, so it might as well be on Mars. So when you hear somebody that says, hey Rob, I live in Skookumchuck, British Columbia, or Many Bison Pelts, Ontario, or Flint, I just, do you have any advice? Or I've got this really cool thing, and I do coaching sometimes via Skype or whatever. And I listen to somebody's demo.
I was Rob's first student.
Yeah, she was my...
You were my first student.
Yes, and then I went back to work at Hot Dog on a Stick. Because I knew I had no talent. But people will, they'll play me their demos, and I'll listen to them, and I'll say, you know what? If you go to my agency, just go to Sutton, Barth, and Menard, there are many good agencies in town, but at my particular agency, I'll just say, you're kind of in this category, voice timbre-wise, so listen to, Jeff Bennett's demo, D. Bradley Baker's demo, Dave Wittenberg's demo, Corey Burton's demo. Yeah. Listen to all and if you're a girl, listen to Tress, and listen to Cats 3C and Jennifer Hale, and listen to them. I'm not because I'm trying to dissuade you from doing it, but you need to know that this is just one agency. And you can take 10 people who will make you just go, oh my God, I didn't know that. I mean, Corey, shut up. Just Corey. Or Jeff Bennett. Alone. Yeah, Jeff Bennett is on my podcast this week, which I think will be up tomorrow. Effing crazy.
Johnny Bravo.
Really, Johnny Bravo and so many other things. But the thing is, he really becomes somebody else. They're seamless, but they don't sound anything like Jeff. And Welker, forget it, Frank, right? So you listen to all those people and you go, okay, I can do this, and I've got, you have to find your own niche and all that. But it's really important to hear with whom you're dealing. Yeah. And we've already been here for 25 years. In my case, 60 years. But, sorry, I just rambled. But
I mean, I just want to jump on the one thing you said. You hear all these people, and your first reaction is you will become discouraged. Oh my gosh, this is what I'm up against.
Or inspired, eventually.
And then, because if you stick with it, you'll become inspired.
Right.
And then you'll also realize that there's a lot of work out there that those guys don't get.
Right.
Because there's a ton of other stuff that people are doing.
Playing golf and flying airplanes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of stuff out there that people want. And then, if that doesn't work, create a market.
Right.
Create your own market. Go out there and do it yourself. This wonderful thing, I don't know if you've all heard about it, it's called the internet.
Yeah.
You can create your INT something net. I don't know.
Can I share one of my
create your own
secrets?
program.
Oh, you have a secret?
I do have a secret. So this is a way that I've gotten some work and have been able to connect with people
I feel like she should got a little wheel going like this.
You can't do Lisa's voice, can you, Rob?
I can't. No, I can't do that.
You're just jealous.
But let me tell you something, darling. I would be all over you like white on rice.
LinkedIn is a great way to connect with people. Yeah. Animation, people that work in animation studios that aren't casting directors or producers, they do their own side projects. And there's ways to connect with them via LinkedIn. I visit Kickstarter a lot and just type in like who's raising money to make their whatever. And then I reach out to them and say, hey, I think this is great, this show or this little short film you're trying to make. I do voiceovers. And a lot of times people go, wow, that's great, because they don't know how to find us. You know, a lot of times they don't. And so, I mean, the magic of the internet, I mean, there's so many people out there who may be looking and listening for you. You just
But
gotta...
don't stalk anybody, right?
No, don't be weird.
I got the 5-minute warning, so I want you guys to know we have the 5-minute warning. Jeannie, it seemed like you wanted to
Yeah,
say
sort of off
something.
topic of what we're talking about here, but when we were talking about the training, and there's two separate things. Once you've got the job, your job's actually a lot less. When you're auditioning, you have to be able to analyze the script, really understand what it means, know who you are, where you're coming from, all the various, acting concepts, and you have to learn how to direct yourself, which is why what Phil said, listen to yourself, because you're going to hear it back. How would you direct that actor that you've just heard back? You know, what would you tell them? And separate yourself so that you don't get all involved with ego and, oh, I suck, and, it doesn't matter. Just, that's somebody else. How would you direct them? What did they, I have people critique themselves after a while, because you have to be able to do that for the audition process, and if you can't do the audition process, you won't have the job. So that's what comes first, and the elements for the audition are far greater than the elements for the actual job.
And that's a really good point. I want to summarize. I mean, when I started out, I think I was just lucky. And, our agent, she'd send me to a job. Sometimes you wouldn't even audition. They'd recommend you and you'd show up, and then you made a friend. And having a director there is wonderful, because I love being directed. Nowadays, you're on your own, and it's a whole, I do. Don't look at me like that. I like being directed.
Sure you do.
I like it. And I like fighting with my directors, too. But
Yes, you do.
nevertheless,
I'm sorry, my character just wouldn't say that. Does that sound familiar?
Alright, so my point is that how things have changed, because that's why I want to organize this panel. Things are different now. If you want to continue, even people I know who've been in the business for as long as we have, some of them have fallen off because they don't have their home equipment. They don't know how to direct themselves. They want what we used to have, and it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a lot lonelier than it used to be. I used to see these guys all the time. Right? And so we say, when I see Rob next week, or I'll bump into him, I'll tell him this. We didn't have to have phone numbers or Facebook, and it's just a different thing to reach each other. So that's different. And voice actors are, even though we're happy and talking, we're kind of shy people, and we're the best people in the industry, but we don't usually like to talk about ourselves.
Right.
But to get work these days, you have to be.
What
able
is that,
to
Rob?
promote
Did
yourself.
you just have a birthday?
No, I think someone's got surround sound behind us.
No, I haven't.
What is this?
You got some
What?
cupcakes or something.
What happened?
Something a little off topic happening over here. Rob turns 18 today.
That's so special. That's so sweet. I am so glad I sobered up. Jeannie saw me in the bar and she said, Rob, honey, there's a little something you maybe want. You're on your 5th gin rickshaw. Maybe you ought to knock it up. I haven't taken the Vicodin yet, but listen, that is so sweet of you. Let me do this first.
So Lisa Biggs never misses an opportunity.
How about that?
Questions up here, and it seems like we don't have time because there's a thing in a costume. We come with a head coming in here, and I don't know what that means. But I'll be at media table number 31. Oh, go ahead.
Rob, hey Rob?
Yes.
Those cupcakes?
I'm sorry?
Those cupcakes?
Yes.
They're stuffed with money.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's such a shame that I can't help Lisa out.
Okay, maybe we have time for
One more time?
No, one
One
question.
more question?
Can we take one question?
One question, and then I'll be at media table 31 the whole weekend, and we'll talk to you outside afterwards. One question. You raise your hand first. The lady right there. Woo. Stand.
Since some of you are using music as part of it, is it a good idea
Sure.
Certainly helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think Phil would agree, and most of us, all of us probably can sing to some extent. And even if you don't fancy yourself a good singer, often you sing poorly, but it still creates a character. Just be fearless.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid
I'm not
to
a
try
singer,
anything.
but I can sing in character.
Yeah,
right.
me too.
Yeah, there are a lot of, that's kind of what we do.
Katie started out by talking about Sylvester Stallone, and I actually did a Sylvester Stallone character, and I had to sing like Sylvester Stallone too. Woman with the beach box, yeah. So, you gotta do it. Exactly. So I didn't have to stretch too far for that.
Thank you for coming. So we'll meet you out there because I know you want to kick us
Thanks,
out.
everybody.